this thought of collaborating with designers for the rugs industry, it's something that nobody did earlier. How did you come up with this idea, and what was the thought train behind?
Obeetee has been working on Proud to be Indian for last 4 years. And the focus of Proud to be Indian has been to find authentic voices for Indian craft, Indian motifs with a nod to different parts of Indian history and geography. So, for example, the first collection of Tarun Telani was Awadh chicken curry. Then we did tie and dye motif with Abraham and Thakur. We did Rajput and basically palaces with Raghavendra Rathore. And with Nikhil and Shantanu, we are looking at the military history. It's the most masculine of our 4 lines in some ways. I know that these rugs are different in the way that it actually looks into the last 100 years of history from this Indian War of Independence in 1857 to 1947. That period, I think today it's very important to evoke freedom. The designs have been Persian and the customers have been European or American. I think this is a great collaboration of finding a great Indian company like Obeetee with amazing Indian designers, the most talented Indian designers who really have a sense of place and time and build a collection like this.
So how do you select on your designers? Like, these are the designers we are going to work on.
Well, you don't have to select Shantanu and Nikhil. They were actually the first people I went to talk about Proud to be Indian. That was like 6 years ago. And
That's right.
Then timing works out. I think we were together during the Abraham and Thakur collection in the evening, and we said, this seems to be the right time for them, and we started work on it. So there's really, I've actually known Raghavendra Rathore for a few years as well. So it's not a very large community. People. A very close friend of mine, Bambi, who knows them for a long time. So it's I've never gone around saying how do you select designers, and I don't think they've gone around saying how do we select carpet companies. It's just a meeting of minds to do something which we both think are exciting and meaningful.
Great. So Shantanu and Nikhil, the question goes to both of you. When Rudra came with this idea, what was going on in your mind? How did you decide to do that?
We were introduced by a common friend, Abhishek Das, who's fondly known as Bambi. And somehow he's got a knack of looking at aligning people and making alliances with the right sense of emotion. Of course, once we met Rudra, we saw and we met also the entire team thereafter. There's such great intent to what they do. It was overwhelming. To be honest with you, we were not sure if we can pull this off because, when you see things on a human body as opposed to seeing it flat, either on the wall or on the floor, the dimensionalities change completely. Your elevations, your visual elevations also change. Also, in making of a carpet takes up to a year. So you can't really feel free to make changes as you do in garments, which, could very easily be done. So this was a great challenge for us also. It started with a bit of fear. Can we pull it off? But as we got into the system and understood the process and understood the value of couture, which in carpet I think is true couture, where people are working on for months. Every technique is so well thought out. So we first understood what are the techniques that define the brand Shantanu Nikhil, because there are hundreds of techniques you can use. There are different materials you can use. So that process itself was so beautiful to learn whether a silk yarn would work or a wool yarn would work, and a wool would give us what kind of a feel, a texture. If I see it from a northwest position to seeing it from a southeast position, how does the pile look? There's so much intricate technicalities of looking at something. I didn't know our eyes were trained to look at things this way. So first being daunting as an idea, then turned into a completely immersive experience. And I think then finally the product itself came out to us. I feel it was something that we longed to do, and I think we got it.
So how did the briefing sessions look between you guys and Rudra? You know, the product aspect of it, the brand aspect, and the creative aspect of it. What were the discussions like?
These are creative briefings. Post the deadlines that are spoken between Rudra, Shantanu, and the rest of the team. My team kicks in with me to figure out the creative journey, I mean, it's a lot like what we do in couture, right? So understanding kind of materials being put in, and the brief for us was always coming from a military perspective, where India did not have. In fact, back in the days, there were borders that were created between cities and states, and we were looking at migration in today's day and age, where you could be from Calcutta, but could be very well settled in Manali, and you could be from Ladakh and could be very well sitting in Kerala. So we looked at kind of the immersive borders and how India is a country that is migrating within India, which did not happen beforehand. But now that the country is coming as one, this was a great opportunity to showcase the oneness through the breaking of the borders and the color palettes that define various regions and states and cities without looking typical in a way.
Yeah.
Basically, the underlying current was proud to be Indian. That was by itself, attractive and magnetic enough to have joined hands with Rudra, and the fact that his team and their vision to accept something which is not necessarily embroidery or textile driven, because that's what in the past they had done with the other designers, capturing certain aesthetics of craftsmanship, which celebrated India in its own unique and distinct manner, what India is known for. But the willingness to portray India's celebratory emotion in a more, with feelings of nostalgia, pride, and valor, which is not necessarily dictated by the rich craftsmanship that is what India is known for, was inviting enough, because I think that's where the fluidity and the seamlessness of this collaboration is, that we were ready to take that chance, that portray another moment of India, which is about storytelling, which is about India's independence, and how do we sort of blend it with certain modernity to it, because that's what the brand stands for. And Proud to be Indian is such a close chapter for us. We're so close to that emotion, because in the last 4 or 5 years, we've constantly had a very strong India proud moment to our brand journey, which has been a departure from what we've done pre that. So the storytelling of being a little bit more patriotic chic, bringing in nostalgia, valor, pride, and then sort of merging it with what the modern India stands for. I think that's what led to be the inflection point for this collaboration. And I think the carpets that we've shot recently and very soon will be launched, I think we were very happy. It's unusual, it's unique, but it'll definitely find its way into unique homes.
Great. So, Rudra, I'm sure that once you guys decided on this theme that we'll be coming up with Proud to be Indian 4th edition theme, which will be military valor and all, it must be decided, times before Corona hit or COVID hit us. What are the challenges you faced during these period of months?
So, I think a lot of the work had been done before COVID hit us. As Nikhil was saying, carpets take a lot of time. In fact, the one thing that got delayed is the launch because of COVID. Because we didn't want to do just a virtual launch. In fact, we had an event with Shantanu and Nikhil a few months ago, first stage of COVID, and they had already done the designs. we were still weaving the carpets. But there was another impact of COVID, which is quite meaningful, I think, which is as designers, Nikhil told you that, they think more of, clothing people. And this is about clothing for the home. And one of the things I was told by many of, people who are Obeetee fans and Obeetee customers is the amount of time they spent at home and what a difference the carpet made to the identity of the house. And how you can personalize your room, because many houses, it looks similar. Rooms look similar. You can keep changing the look of the room by introducing different pieces of carpets, and it actually dramatically changes the whole room, not just the floor. And I think that centrality that we had given to this rug, to this theme, Proud to be Indian, to the Indian home, I think is going to be more appreciated now that people are spending more time at home, but also entertaining more at home. Today people, you're much more likely to go to someone's home than to a public place, or a bar or something. So those kind of things, I think the centrality of home is at unprecedented level. And I think this would be a very, very good time to launch this theme, because this connection of home with fashion, and in this case with a great fashion design duo with a great theme which is patriotic. I think all of these, the time is now, and I think whatever God does to push things behind and push things back. I think when Shantanu Nikhil and I chatted 7 or 8 years ago, maybe it was premature, and maybe this is the right time to do it.
It wasn't meant to happen. Yeah, it wasn't, because very well said and very well put together, Rudra, because 6-7 years ago when we decided to do something, we weren't very clear with the storytelling ourselves, because as couturiers you belt collections out, but and the products and the garments do the talking, but the story kind of becomes a bit of a miss, and we've never been an embroidery centric brand. So what kind of stories did we have to narrate? I think that's where the confusion was, till we decided to sort of become a little bit more heritage meetings punk kind of a brand about 5 years ago, when we knew that our storytelling will go a certain direction, and that we need to be influenced by what we are surrounded by in terms of our Indian roots. Up until then, we were going to many places across the world. We were taking inspiration from them and then giving it our Indian touch, which meant that we weren't true to ourselves, and hence we could not commit to Obeetee and Rudra at that time, because we weren't being honest to our storytelling cause. And I think now, with everything falling in place and we becoming a lot more kind of nostalgic as a brand, but sort of having it sort of modernized with this whole glee of excitement and kind of bringing in a millennial spunk to what we do. I think that's where this had to start, and I completely agree that homes is something that one has started to cherish and love even more. You like to go back to your board, you like to enjoy what you're surrounded by, and if you are surrounded by some beautiful carpets around you, I think that sort of gives you a moment of positivity and hope.
Yes, definitely. So, as we spoke earlier, that designing a garment and designing a rug, of course, it comes with its own challenges. So, what were those challenges you guys faced for the first time while designing the first rug?
It's hard to say if these are challenges. These are experiences, really. I mean, designing a carpet is an experience. Very few people get it in their lifetime, to be honest with you. Like I told you earlier, from three-dimensionality to a 2D scale of perspective is different. Challenge, when you can say, or exploration rather, was to how to create a design that we usually see it as a circular on a flat surface. So when you see a design on a circle on a human body, it's usually there are areas you accentuate, right? But on a flat surface, when the eyes go and look at the perspective, there are only certain areas you can accentuate. and be careful of what you want to push further. So there were carpets where the borders are really strong and the balance then in the center becomes really soft, and there are carpets where right the center point becomes very pivotal, but the edges become very soft. And I think when we now look at carpets, or in fact when we were working on this experience, we were looking at them as composition, not as silhouettes. So there was a big difference there. And when you look at it as a composition, it becomes almost like an art piece. And then, of course, it's the transferring of the art in your head onto the carpet becomes another experience of exploration. Yeah.
So what have been your favorite compositions in this collection?
There is one which has the crest in the center with the hexagonal red and blue lines that kind of define the march of India, that India's looking ahead and going forward with its valor, its structure, its and it's poised, you know, and the crest reminds you of the times when India was known for its luxury and for its strength, its power. There's a lot of thought given to design. So we brought that back into a space we felt that is relevant today.
Okay. Shantanu, yours favorite?
Actually, all my pieces that we've designed are, there's a different moment of storytelling in each one of them. I particularly like the one that has bloodstain kind of marks, and then it is also depicting the map of India. You know, there are so many glorious moments attached to whatever we did in the last 2 years, and the fact that this was not an easy thing to do, because like Nikhil said, we are so used to draping it on human body and seeing what is right, what is wrong. This one required a lot of due diligence, required constant interaction with the artisans who are sitting somewhere, who are trying to also sort of look at this concept or this form of storytelling from a very different lens. I think all of that was challenging, but at the same time was gratifying. So almost all the pieces, because they come in different forms. There are rugs, there are wall carpets, there are carpets that are certain shapes, sizes, forms. But when you look at the collection, you'll see each one of them depicting a story, a celebratory India that one is so one may have forgotten, and one could cherish those moments and feel proud of being an Indian.
Were there any color restrictions because it's rugs, and especially because you have this theme going on in mind, like celebrating India or military valor? So were there any color restrictions or theme restrictions where you thought that?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. In fact, Rudra's team had given us a complete free will to have fun. It doesn't happen often that people spend money for you to have fun, which was great. So when they gave us a free hand, we knew that it's even more now that we have to be responsible with what we make. And so we went back to the drawing board and we figured out what is it that the brand stand for. And that was very clear that the color palettes would be dabbling between our classic navies, cherries, beiges, light grays that we love so much. We were looking at the erudites of India, and the colors they wore were always in the palettes that defined a longevity, defined a certain amount of valor, and those color palettes are the ones we did not clearly do or resonate with bright palettes that many as Indians think of India to be. We looked at India as a more cerebral thinkers, the mindset, the poets, the writers. So that was our take on India, and therefore the color palettes dabbled between those, as I said.
In short, I think it was an amalgamation of Indian decadence meeting modern grandeur. So all the decadent tones, like Nikhil has described, became the mainstay.
It looks beautiful. I think the colors and the palette, everything is so beautiful, so beautifully done. Rudra, since we have you back, do you have a favorite from the collection? Would you like to tell us about it?
Yes, so firstly, I'll just say that the way the color has been used in this collection And you were talking about the timing how was the timing, how did COVID? I think the colors have become more relevant now that even when the whole collection was started, because people are looking for color at home.
Yes.
When the design started, it was the period of what they used to call the greige. It was beige and grey, and here there is a lot of red and blue with big crest, being bold. People often say that rug is a product where even a shy person is willing to be bold, because it's on the floor. You don't look at it. It's not like, you might not feel like wearing very bold colors, but happy to have it on the floor. And I think the rug that Nikhil described with the red, blue, with the crest, I love it, because the colors almost bring you an amalgamation of the Union Jack in its colors, but India in its crest. I love the gold with dark in the middle, in the medallion. It almost, and that is also a beautiful rug. But one of the things I've realized as a carpet maker is you keep changing your preferences of which you like the best. And time, the whole room evolves around the rug. And it's often, again, we are going to take this collection to US. We are going to have customers in India look at it, and you will see that the favorite in US and the favorite in India is definitely not going to be the same rug. And it's always going to be the colors that they like. And in New York, it's a different. The sky is different, the sun is different. So the rug looks different in a different geography. And a lot of it also is the way sun falls on a rug, because it's a silk and wool, so you have the sun falling on one side of the rug, and the knots bring luster, and in some places shades of dark. It's a beautiful product, and I think they've done a tremendous and one of the things is what Nikhil was saying in the beginning, and it made me think, Nikhil and Shantanu are masters of their craft, but you put them in a different zone, you actually see them even more creative. And that is something that I always like about this Proud to Be Indian collection, where you have Obeetee designers who've been making rugs day in, day out, who are brilliant in making rugs. And then you have these fabulous designers who do other products, and then you put them together. And that brings creativity to a different level. And so everyone who would look at the rug would not say, "Oh, I've seen this kind of rugs before." It's going to be completely different from whatever they've seen. And because you've brought in talent and motivations and inspirations which are completely different from anything that's happened before.
Thank you so much for those kind words, Rudra. That's really sweet.
It's been amazing.
Thank you, Nikhil and Shantanu. And
thank you so much.
Thank you
So much, everyone. It was an amazing conversation. All the best for your collection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.